Alright, let's see how this goes. Just waiting to make sure that the stream is actually online. Okay, it's starting. That's a good thing. We like when the stream starts. Okay, so I can officially see myself. So hello everybody. I'm going to be showing you how I made a song. If you didn't know, I made a song. It's okay. I made it in around 4 hours. Anyways, as you can see by my project, it's not very organized, and I had to change some things for the sake of being able to stream the process. So it doesn't sound, camera please, it doesn't sound exactly the same. The reason for that being this, a lot of the chords and stuff, there were too many voices to be streaming and doing this at the same time without having serious audio problems, just because Windows kind of sucks at utilizing CPU power for audio and all that, and FL Studio isn't great with the optimization either. So we're just going to be making do with what we have. I have the chords bounced out to a wave and put through to the same mixer track, but I'm missing some of the panning and stuff, so it's not going to sound exactly the same. I might be able to actually link the song in the description of the the stream, in case people want to boink to it. It's a bit weird, but I don't know if it'll actually update, but oh, yep, it's being updated. Okay, so it's there if you want to listen to what the final result kind of sounded like. I have changed a couple things for the sake of I noticed them, didn't like that they were in the song, and fixed them. But anyway, so let's get started. I'm already taking too long. So let's get started here. First thing I did in this song was I just made a sine pad. If you don't know what a pad is, it's soft, it's warm, they're chords usually. It's straight vibin'. And a sine is not like S-I-G-N, but S-I-N-E. If we go to the layer here, all I did was I took a sine wave and I put a second oscillator on there to mirror it. So if I turn the mirror off, you can hear it's really dull. But if I turn the mirror on and I messed with the settings a bit, it's a bit crunchier. So essentially the first part sounds like this. Just some big chords, kind of dissonant. And that just loops. That's pretty much the basis for the entire song. If you hear a bit of crackling right now, that's that CPU utilization issue I was talking about, so I apologize. But that's just what it's going to be. It's a lot of voices that it's trying to render in at once. So anyways, next things, there's two things that I kind of layer here. On top of that, I also have this shaker. Just kind of adds like some groove, some groove. Not like groove music, that sucks. It doesn't suck, but come on, Windows, you can do better than that. Anyways, next thing I added was this kind of piano arp. This you'll see what I mean. It's kind of just based off of some of the intervals in the chords. So if I go to this, you'll be able to hear what that sounds like. Just to give it some more movement and some bounce. So yeah, it's pretty bumping. So yeah, I'm just gonna try to get through as much of this as quickly as possible because there's a lot to go over. This next thing is this kind of muted guitar layer that I added, which is just this sample that I got off of Splice and then pitched to a C so I could easily MIDI it in. Just about everything's MIDI. I was too lazy to actually record stuff, so it's kind of hear that. I could have used an actual guitar, but who does that, Yeah. So yeah, that just kind of repeats. On top of that, I have this little pluck thing, which is, it's the same MIDI as the piano arp, and then I just have a cutoff filter on it to introduce it slowly. It's like some weird Deadmau5, Alan Walker type stuff. Anyways, so on top of that, I added these really nice bright piano chords. I'm actually going to single these out because I want you to hear them, because I'm very proud of them, even though it was mostly just presets, if I'm being totally honest with you. So let's see. If I go to this layer, I added a tack piano, and I messed with the mastering a bit and all that. So that just kind of sounds like this. Beautiful. And you can see it's just in Arturia's Piano V2. Came with the Analog Lab 4 set, whatever it is, and this glass piano layer to give that kind of dreamy fantasy texture. It's really nice. So together, that sounds like this. It's just really nice, bright chords, like happy chords, mixed with the sign pad, and then mixed with the piano or pluck art, piano art, cut off, muted guitar, shaker. You can start to see like the mood of the song coming together and how it's supposed to sound. It's really nice. Then I add this kind of guitar pluck, which is more just like this weird sine wave pluck, but it is a guitar sample. And that's just a harmony. That thing, yeah. Just straight vibing. And then I added a mallet, which is the same MIDI as that. Another sample just from Splice. And I pitched it to C so I could MIDI it in again. And it just layers with it to make it this kind of clearer tone. And then over here, I layer it again with an acoustic guitar. So you can hear that. Just with a bit of reverb on it as well to kind of, as you can see, if I actually go to the mixer here, I have sign pad routed here just to, apparently don't have any EQ on it, oh well. Most of these intro things I think I just want it really warm and big, so I didn't really mind. And on top of that, you can do a decent amount of EQing and all that within the plugin, so it wasn't a huge issue. Okay, so next thing I should introduce is probably, unfortunately, the vocals, which I've been wanting to put off because they're not very good. I'm not a singer. So if we just turn this on, you can hear I kind of bring it in, just like, you'll hear what I mean. It's embarrassing, but it's whatever.
No emotion, no tears, no hatred, no fears, just you and I, lighting up the night, tell each other lies, so we can learn to fly all through the night.
Before we go further, I would like to talk about the effects chain on this. So going into the mixer, I probably still have my channel here. You can see it's dry. I have no effects. That's just how I prefer to do it. It saves CPU and helps with latency. And also, this is just my recommendation. It's completely unrelated to just about everything I'm doing here. But if you can see, I don't have this routed to the master because when I do that, I have a latency, and it's really hard to get rid of that latency. So if you use an audio interface, which if you're recording vocals, you should be, do direct monitor so that you have low latency. There are ways to route effects through with the direct monitor depending on your setup. It just, reducing latency is what it's all about, because if you can't even record things on tempo, that's a big pain. And it took me longer than it should have to learn that. So completely unrelated, but that's what that is. So 19 here is the actual effects chain. So this is just for this specific microphone, which is a really cheap Behringer Ultra Voice. So like, you don't need a good microphone to have an okay product. But I just kind of boosted the highs a bit because the mids and lower frequencies on this mic are quite prominent. And, so I cut out some of the subs because I don't want that interfering. Raise the highs, a little bit of the mids, just a little hump there. Pretty heavy compression, 3-to-1 ratio, negative 20 decibels, and just some makeup gain to make sure that you can hear it. Some auto-tune, number one, to shift the format down, since just my kind of vocal tone, I wanted it to be a bit darker for this, and it was easier to do that electronically than try to sing in like this really weird emotional way. It's yeah. So it wasn't about that. So I just pitched the performance down, the throat length to 108, and then I have some slower tuning on there just to kind of give it to give it a more modern feel. It doesn't have any specific scaled tuning, by the way, I should mention, because I'm too lazy for that. and it doesn't really matter because I knew it'd be doing most of the pitch correction in new tone anyways. I put another multi-band compressor on here to boost some of the highs and everything, just to give it a kind of crispier feel. It's nothing too interesting. I think I actually initially started with this bright preset here, and I just worked to make it work with everything else. I have a de-esser, which is kind of a weird spot in the effects chain, but I forgot about it, so I ended up putting it there. And then just a very slight reverb. And I did some low cut on that and changed the shape up a bit. Just fruity reverb, so nothing too interesting there, but that's all I did for the vocals.
Dark and scary, but we don't need to hide. Reach up, I'll help you touch the sky. Light up, you're my firefly. You're my firefly. You're my firefly.
Cause you can't. I'm sorry. I don't like to keep stopping it because it's getting to that good part, but like no. So I gotta explain it. So I'm gonna take the vocals away for a second so we can hear this. This is the saw pad that I've been talking about right here. Gotta make sure I have all this on. So it just kind of fades in, and it's this huge layer of saws, mostly serum presets, I believe. Oh, yeah. Okay, well, I do have the original saw pad in here somewhere. Here it is. So I'm not going to be using this one because if I even just play the pattern, half the time it's clipping and cutting out, so it's like whatever. So I just have some chords from a future-based pack, mainly, that I got from Ultrasonic. He's a YouTuber. He makes really good videos. It was a good price at the time. I think it was like $14 for all these presets, and you get like an entire library, and it's pretty bumping, actually. It's good sounds. And I'm far too lazy to do all of my own sound design, so yeah. That's kind of weird. I think I'm missing an automation somewhere here to give it that warmth, but as you can hear, that kind of fades in.
You're my firefly. You're my firefly. You're my firefly.
And then I also added this little effect just into the drop. It's nothing too important. I just think I'd mention it. It's actually from a sample pack from the My Love Is Gone sample pack from Jonas Aiden. He releases those with most of his songs and has remix contests, which I took a part of. I don't think I'm going to win because I think it's still going on. I didn't do very well, but it's whatever. So that's just kind of this pad that fades off and like pulses a bit because it's the same key and everything. So yeah, you can hear a bit of the drop there. So now we're going to start to get into the build-up a bit more and talk about what I did to add that tension, because as you can see, I didn't add any weird snare fills or anything because I just want to be a bit chill. So first thing I did was I added this sweep, just a Kishmer sample pack sweep, also from Splice. I think I accidentally shifted it over a bit, so let me move that back. And then I added this spinning drum fill loop, also from Splice. I love Splice. Splice is great. Along with the shaker doesn't add too much in the build-up, but it's still there just because continuity thing. And there's the sweep down, obviously, so that helps transition into the drop. Here's just a little like guitar string pluck thing I added as an extra percussion. It's kind of hard to hear, but yeah. And then here's a separate drum fill to kind of fill up the rest of that bar at the end there. And then the sweep down. So that's basically the entire build-up. It's a very sudden, like, bah, and that's it. That's just how it goes. And then I add the drum fills a little bit throughout the drop to kind of, spice it up a bit. So the first thing that's really important, too, is the lead layer here, which I don't even think I mentioned. So I'll go back to that. I'll make sure that the master... I have a master EQ that I just slapped at the beginning. Don't worry about it. I do things weirdly. So... the lead just kind of fades in. It's this side chain, like, aggressive saw type lead. I have a lot of layers for it. mostly from the ultrasonic pack. I think I used to have some silence presets, but they were messed up, so I ended up changing them. So yeah, just a kind of bouncy melody. One thing I'd like to recommend, just as just in music in general, if you're gonna be doing melodies, it's usually a good idea if you have accompaniment to have more space in the melodies. So I tried to do my best to add, as you can see, like half a measure right here of space, and then in between the notes, it's not just like these 32 or 30-second notes. It's like just a kind of chill, like bouncy melody that works with the side chain, which is on, the beginning of every beat. The 1, 2, 3, 4. So it goes. Well, you know what side chain is if you're watching this, most likely. If you don't, it ducks the volume of a certain track in response to a sound, usually the kick drum. So yeah, there we go. There's that. Next thing I added here, I'll single this out since it's kind of hard. It's the saw pad again, just with a different rhythm and kind of chord change structure. And I should turn this on. So another thing worth mentioning with these chords is that I actually added this high pass filter that goes in and out, so it goes that thing. Just kind of add some character. I accidentally added something here, didn't I? Yes. Okay. So if I turn this on, you can hear what I mean. And then back down again, and it goes back into the full chords. So it's just a cool little detail that gives it some more movement in the chorus. So the next thing is a sub bass. Very simple. Just fills up the low end. Doesn't have to be loud, doesn't have to stick out. And then a grit bass, which is very aggressive to like... So yeah. Now let's see if I can... Okay. Yeah. So all that together. And then I also added a lot of snares just to make this really bright, punchy snare. Okay, sorry about that. My stream was doing weird stuff for a second. I was really concerned. I'm sorry that I just went like totally quiet momentarily, but that was interesting. Yeah, okay, so let's keep going. So it's just that huge snare layer. The snare in this genre, the snare doesn't really need to stick out. It's not like the whole drum and bass thing. It is kind of drum and bass centered, if that makes sense. In the way that, at least in a lot of the music I like to make, the electronic type music that I'll make, is I will like to have the bass really sticking out in the mix along with the drums, but the drums in this song especially are not the focus. So it's just I have a kick and everything, 4 to the floor pattern, just a really punchy like virtual riot kick, just mixed with a higher little top kick and some hi-hats. And then I add some rides in for the second half of this part, and then I cut them out so that there's room for this chord automation that we did. Doesn't need to be anything fancy. Oh yeah, the LFO rate automation I also no longer have because of the WAV file. So there are downsides. And as we discussed, there's these drum fills here. So all the drums together kind of sound like this. Nothing too interesting, but then when you layer it with the bass of the chords, and I'll just turn all the tracks on. I should mention also a trick that's pretty common, but I'm going to explain it anyways, is for the bass, or not the bass, the lead, for the second half of the chorus to make it more interesting, pitch it up an octave. So it goes from this, and up. It just gives it some more energy and some variations so that if you have a longer chorus, it has somewhere to go. So the entire kind of drop section chorus sounds like this. And like I said, it's missing a lot of that room because of the panning and everything I was able to do. And I'm not going to change the project just for that. So it does sound a little bit weaker without the actual voicings and everything of the patches and just with the WAV file. But that's the only way I was able to show it. So we're just going to continue. So into this next section here, we have a transition, just a little sweep up and then sweep down. Pretty standard transitional stuff. But what we also do is, instead of just trying to repeat the verse section, I added all this again, obviously, same kind of stuff we had before. But then I also kept the gritty type bass going, except as you can see it's chopped up over here it's not. And then I had a cutoff automation. So that's too interesting there. It's just kind of like... Oh, and then the vocals do come back in, just a separate verse.
I dream in colors of what you said I could be, but this ain't the end. I'll find another way.
So I'm just re-adding the layers I had before.
You think that I've given up. You say that I don't want your love. Well, it's a little bit harder than that. It hurts. I'm wondering where you're at. But you're my firefly. You're my firefly.
And it goes back in the chorus. So honestly, that's pretty much it. There is one little thing that I failed to mention when I said that I basically just add things that we already had. I added this bridge lead over here. I gotta remember all the automations so that I can single this out, because I'm an idiot and I don't organize my projects very well. So this bridge lead right here, you can hear. I also have a volume automation to keep it much quieter, since it's some of the same lead presets as in the chorus. It doesn't need to be that loud though. And then here I layer it with another synth, which does harmonies. So that just adds some color to the background behind the vocals. Basically, this entire project is centered around me trying to distract from the vocals, but putting vocals in so that people will listen to it, because, you know, most people, when they listen to music, want to have a meaning behind the song. They want to have something to listen to, even if it's not necessarily super well produced. And in my case, if it's just not sung well. So, yeah, so the vocals, everything's just kind of distracting from those and trying to have all these details in the background that you can pick out with your ears and add more to it than just the words that are being thrown at you.
think that I've given up. You say that I don't want your love. Well, it's a little bit harder than that. It hurts, I'm wondering where you're at. Oh,
I think I also accidentally turned down the variation in U-tone in that audio clip because it's not supposed to be that hard. Yeah, just back in the chorus. That's basically it. Alright, so that's basically it. So I'm going to now thank you for watching. I'm sorry, I'm trying this camera thing for the first time. I don't usually do this webcam stuff. And God, I don't know if I actually mentioned it in the stream. Webcams are ungodly expensive right now. Like, because I'm guessing it's because of the lockdown and coronavirus and whatnot. So... Blunt, I accidentally just saved the project. I didn't mean to do that. Autonomous. Okay, I can probably fix it back to its former glory. Anyways, so yeah, so webcams are really, really expensive because the corona. Everyone's wanting a webcam so that they can, talk to people and whatnot. So I used to have a Microsoft LifeCam Studio 1080p, pretty nice webcam actually, and I got one used for $18. A used one of those now goes for $90. So yeah, so right now I'm actually using an app to use my iPhone right here. This is my phone. Hello, it's actually convenient because I have a separate little screen down there that I can view myself at. And that's just connected through USB to my computer through an app called EpicCam. Not sponsored. Why would I be? I have 60 subscribers. Anyways, yeah. So that's fun, but I'm just trying to give you more of a visual so that you can see my vibe over here, etc. So yeah, thanks for tuning in. If you did, this stream will be uploaded to the YouTube channel with the DVR function. So yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see y'all whenever. But now I need to find OBS.